Tonight, shooting update. A man charged with murder is facing more charges. Heartbreaking. 2 dogs found shot to death on the side of the road. And Black History Month. A look at some of the heroes who built the Alaska Highway. Good evening and thank you for joining us. And we begin tonight with more charges being laid in a pair of shootings in Dawson Creek in January. Nolan Schmidt already facing second-degree murder charges in the death of Joel Freeman. Well, now Schmidt is facing more charges in an alleged shooting just minutes after Freeman was killed. The BC Prosecution Service has approved additional charges. Schmidt has been charged with aggravated assault and discharging a firearm with intent. The alleged shooting took place on January the 19th. It happened just after Freeman was killed in the 1000 block of 102nd Avenue. Police allege Schmidt then made his way to the 3rd floor of the Mile Zero Hotel. Brandon Badger was allegedly shot and severely injured and was taken to hospital in Edmonton. Schmidt remains in police custody. His next appearance in court is tomorrow. Well, to a police investigation now looking into the death of 2 dogs, and a warning to our viewers, the information and pictures in this story are disturbing. Chetwynd police confirm 2 dogs were found shot to death and left at the side of the road. The animals were found along with pools of blood on Highway 29 South. The picture on social media shows what appear to be shotgun casings laying on the ground. Mounties confirming they received the call on Sunday. However, police believe at this point the dogs may have been left there for days. Police are continuing their investigation. Anyone with any information on the case is being asked to contact the Chetwynd RCMP detachment. The latest crime stats out of Dawson Creek pointing to a notable increase in the number of assaults and impaired driving cases. Last month, there were 654 calls for service, and that's down from 682 from the same time last year. 147 of those calls occurring in the surrounding rural area, including Pouce Coupe. Cases of impaired driving more than doubled last month, with RCMP reporting 14 incidents. 2 drug possessions or trafficking cases were reported last month. That's up from 1 from the last year. Staff Sergeant Rob Hughes expects this number to rise with changing provincial decriminalization laws. Assaults increased to 14 cases last month from 9, and that's largely due to a pair of drive-by shootings that took place between January the 17th and the 19th. Now, according to Hughes, an officer that was shot at during the incident, now back at work after a 12-gauge slug went through the window of his police cruiser. Mental health calls remained the same at 51. The decrease was seen in break-and-enters, with numbers down for cases involving both residences and businesses. In his report, Hughes says property crime and mental health issues remain the majority of calls for service. There was also 22 files recorded for police events that involved the homeless population in Dawson Creek. The Peace River Regional District announcing the winner of the Area B by-election on Saturday. Reed Graham receiving 204 votes on his way to victory. Graham with double the support of his challenger, Madeleine Lehman. He was currently the alternate director after Jordan Keeley was elected to the provincial legislature last fall. Graham will serve out the rest of Keeley's term, which ends in October of 2026. Some good news for residents in Tumbler Ridge. They've been left in limbo as the community center there has been closed for the past 2.5 weeks. But the district announcing the center has reopened as of Sunday. The 2-day shutdown has been turned into a weeks-long nightmare, leaving the community without a full slate of services and amenities. The closure impacting all facilities, including the daycare, fitness center, curling rink, and library. A heating issue forcing the closure on February the 7th. Council forced to approve up to $300,000 to cover the cost of a new boiler and heater rentals to get the facility running again. Now, all services have now been restored with the exception of the pool, which is closed for maintenance. The district is thanking the public for their understanding and their patience during the repairs. BC Hydro announcing another milestone at the Site C Dam project. The dam now adding even more power to the province's energy grid with the announcement that the 3rd of 6 generating units is now fully operational. The utility says the remaining 3 units will be brought online one by one. Testing and commissioning work is already underway for the 4th unit. BC Hydro setting a target of having all the units in service by the fall of this year. The first generating unit began generating energy in late October. Each unit can provide more than 180 megawatts of power, Once complete, Site C will provide just over 5,000 yearly gigawatt hours of electricity. It will also contribute about 8% more supply to the province's energy grid. Controversy breaking out at the legislature in Victoria about burial sites at a former residential school. The Attorney General critic for the BC Conservative Party taking to social media, Dallas Brody saying, quote, "There are 0 confirmed child burial sites at a former residential school in Kamloops." Well, Conservative leader John Roustad says he's asked Brody to delete the post. Roustad said it is a fact that more than 4,000 children died in residential schools and many of them were buried there. As for Brody, she says her post is in support about the apparent mistreatment of a lawyer. That lawyer asked the Law Society of British Columbia to reword its training manuals about residential schools. Brody says lawyers must be free to insist upon the facts. Gather up your seats because it's once again that time of year. The official tax filing season is underway with the opening of the electronic filing service, NetFile. There are some changes this year, including a 2-month extension to receive a charitable donation tax receipt, and the capital gains inclusion rate is being delayed. The federal government announcing late last month it would defer implementing the hike until 2026. The deadline to file is April the 30th for most people and June the 16th for those who are self-employed. Big job cuts to tell you about tonight coming to Starbucks. The coffee giant plans to lay off 1,100 corporate employees globally as the company's new chairman and CEO streamlines operations. Starbucks says it will inform employees who are being laid off by midday tomorrow. Baristas in the company's stores, however, are not being included in the layoffs. To Ottawa, where candidates running to replace Justin Trudeau will face each other in the first of 2 debates tonight. The first debate will be in French. Mark Carney, Chrystia Freeland, Karina Gould, and Frank Bilas will square off in Montreal tonight, and it's an opportunity for their French language skills to be put to the test. Tomorrow, the 4 will debate in English. The 2 events are the only chance Liberal supporters will have to see the candidates together before a winner is announced on March the 9th. So whoever wins the Liberal leadership will become Canada's next Prime Minister, and that means dealing with those looming American tariffs. Well, today, U.S. President Donald Trump insisted they will happen as planned.
The tariffs are going forward on time, on schedule. This is an abuse that took place for many, many years. And I'm not even blaming the other countries that did this. I blame our leadership for allowing it to happen. I mean, you know, who can blame them if they made these great deals with the United States, took advantage of the United States?
The duties are set to take effect next Tuesday, and they include 25% tariffs on all Canadian imports and 10% levies on energy products. Trump paused the tariffs for a month to allow time to reach what he called a final economic deal. It's 3 years to the day since Russia began its invasion of Ukraine. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was among the world leaders who paid a visit to Kyiv today in a show of solidarity with Ukraine. There is growing concern, however, about the future of the war as the Trump administration shifts closer to Russia. CTV's Adrian Gobriel has the details.
I love Canada.
A proclamation of affection, though on day 1096 of Russia's invasion, pleasantries took a back seat to the deadly threat facing Ukraine, Europe, and democratic world order.
It's not just about Ukraine. It's about the rules and the values and the principles of sovereignty, of independence, of territorial integrity that protects every country in the world.
At the table, leaders from across Europe echoed a grave concern that their country may be next if Russia's show of force on Ukrainian soil is legitimized by Western democracies.
The Ukraine is fighting the fight also for Europe and Nordics and Baltics, everybody. Also United States, because Iran, North Korea, everybody would assess that they can do whatever they want.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announcing that Canada will send $5 billion in aid to Ukraine using funds seized from Russian assets, as well as additional infantry and armored combat vehicles, while keeping the door open to possible Canadian troops on the ground in Ukraine as part of any future peace deal.
Everything is on the table because we need to make sure that might no longer makes right in this world.
Earlier in the day, American President Donald Trump joined a call with Zelensky, Trudeau, and other G7 leaders as fears mount that the new U.S. administration could pull their military support for Ukraine.
In the past 2 weeks, when we've seen a shift in the transatlantic partnership, we have to wake up to a new reality. And then the question is, how do we get skin in the game?
There were also multiple concerns raised about Ukraine possibly being forced into what they call an unjust peace deal. Now, this all took place today under the constant threat from above of a drone or rocket attack. The building behind me was hit just a week ago. One man was killed. Among the injured, a 9-year-old girl. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Kyiv, Ukraine.
Well, fresh off his party's election victory, the leader of the Conservative Party in Germany is warning that Europe must seek to achieve independence from the United States. Friedrich Merz and the Christian Democratic Union, along with its sister party, won nearly 29% of the vote. The election also saw Germany's far-right AfD party surge to second place with a historic 20.8%. Merz has criticized U.S. intervention in Germany's election campaign, but he does say he hopes to maintain a good relationship with the U.S. In Rome, Pope Francis is showing a slight improvement as he battles double pneumonia. The pontiff, however, is still critically ill, but the Vatican is saying he is eating normally and even resumed work this afternoon at the hospital. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
Outside of Rome's Gemelli Hospital, a group of faithful sing and pray, as inside Pope Francis battles double pneumonia and the onset of slight kidney failure. But in an update today, the Vatican says the pontiff's health is improving. The clinical conditions of the Holy Father, although critical, show a slight improvement, the statement reads. Even today, there were no episodes of asthmatic respiratory crises. Some laboratory tests have improved. Over the weekend, the Vatican said the Pope had experienced a respiratory crisis and was in critical condition. Last night was a good one, however, and the Pope resumed light work this afternoon with some of his secretaries.
His situation has improved since Saturday when he had that breathing crisis that required high-flow oxygen and blood transfusions.
Vatican analyst Gerard O'Connell says the health update released today was positive given what the Pope has been through, though he added setbacks are to be expected.
The pharmacological treatment they're giving him will take some time, and so nobody should expect an immediate evidence of Pope recovered. It takes time to remove pneumonia from anybody, and also from the Pope.
Pope Francis is particularly susceptible to pneumonia and other lung infections, as he underwent a partial lung removal as a young man and has been admitted to hospital multiple times since being elected Pope in 2013. Doctors have not released a prognosis for the Pope, calling his situation complex. He continues to receive oxygen therapy, but his flows have been reduced. Another positive sign. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
All right, please do stay tuned. I will be right back with a look at weather. But as we head to break, here's a look at today's closing market numbers.